Shalom, shalom. First off, I want to start out by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule and teach well. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make your calling and election sure. Shalom. This is your brother Hashah from the Great Millstone Savannah Camp. Coming back in the spirit with another lesson, Lord willing, I pray and hope that it's edifying and exhorting. All right, and this is just a news and prophecy lesson. All right, going into basically the famine of the word. All right, and this has been almost like a week or almost 2 weeks. I say probably a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago. But since the whole CK thing has happened, right? And when it first happened, there was a big stir created by who they call the right wing, right, which is just the conservative faction of the Edomite empire, the Edomite government. All right, and now that time has gone by, it's clear that there's an agenda behind this, right? And what's that? 1 Corinthians chapter 11. It says, I believe it's chapter 11. We are not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right, and you can see Operation Mockingbird taking place. You can see the media, all right, being propagandized. Okay, and ultimately Esau Edom, all right, he is coming for that Second Amendment. I believe it's the Second Amendment. No, the First Amendment, the freedom of speech. All right. But there's a couple, he could also, really and truly, he wants to dismantle the Constitution completely. All right. He wants a system that is governed by AI, right? And social credit scoring. All right. Leading up to the MOTB. So all this is, it's tied in. All right. And you can see the agenda taking place. You can see, how he's going to weaponize these social media accounts. Right. He's already, using Palantir. All right. To integrate with, OpenAI and ChatGPT to alert the authorities about, criminal activity or, what if they think now that you're going to commit a crime, they can come arrest you. All right. And they've just recently taken habeas corpus, which is your right to trial, right to a speedy trial. Right. They took that out of the off the website on the Constitution, right? The Constitution website. So we're living in those times. We're living in a time where Esau Edom is going to make a man an offender for a word, right? And I got that precept right here. This is Isaiah chapter 29. In verse 20, it says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed. All that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the jest for a thing of naught." Right? And who is he that reproveth in the gate? Right? Primarily, the Israelites. Okay. And I'm gonna say, of the Israelites, the GMS. All right, we're the ones that are, rebuking, reproving, right, crying aloud, sparing not. All right, using our voices like a trumpet, right, to declare the Lord's judgment, to reprove. Okay, and inside of the gates, meaning inside of this kingdom, inside of the the walls of Babylon the Great, right? On every, just about in every major city in America, there's Israelites, right, who go out on the highways and byways and prophesy, right? And then if there's not a camp, guess what? The internet is there, right? So the internet is, likened unto, the Urim and the Thummim. It's doing the work, the bidding of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? And, we don't have to travel. We don't have to do these things. But guess what? All that is soon coming to an end. Why? Because Esau Edom is going to make a man an offender for a word, right? Which brings us to this article. It says ABC pulls Jimmy Kimmel live off air indefinitely over C. Kurt comments, right? It says Disney's subsidiary, right? So Disney owned ABC, said it is pulling Jimmy Kimmel live. Slovakia. Show off the air after controversial comments by his host about the unaliving of conservative activist C. Kurt, right? It says the Federal Communications, the CCC, the FCC chair Brent Carr suggested ABC's broadcast license was at risk from Kimmel's statement about Tyler Robinson, who accused of unaliving Kurt, right? And I'm not gonna read this, right? I don't really care what he said. Well, let's read what he said, I guess. It says ABC on Wednesday pulled Jimmy Kimmel late night show off air indefinitely over outrage over his host comments linking the alleged killer of conservative activist C. Kurt to President Trump's MAGA movement, right? Which he probably just stated, what we thought or what we knew, right? That this was Edomite on Edomite, crime, right? Let's say it says the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who unalived C. Kurt as anything other than one of them doing everything they can to score political points for it. So, you no longer have the freedom of speech, man. All right. And this guy right here is like the fifth or sixth person. He's not the first, right? And even in Savannah right now, all right, there's some controversial let's see, aldermen, under fire. There's some behind the scenes things going on, right? Right. So the mayor had to address some things on behalf of one of his aldermen, right? Who's basically saying that this guy C. Kurt was he was a racist. We knew, right? There's always an agenda with Esau Edom, right? But we've been warning you, warning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans that this day was coming, that this time was coming where, really the Lord is closing the doors of mercy, right? He's closing the doors of mercy, right? Because what? You're not going to be able to hear this word, right? You're not going to be able to get this word freely as it is accessed now, right? And that's why the scriptures say, seek the Lord while he may be found. Isaiah 55 What was that, 55:6, I believe, or it says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Okay. Because the Lord is, closing that door. He's closing the door of mercy, right? Like he did to Noah, right? Amos chapter 8 and verse 11, it says, the time is surely coming, right? Surely, saith the sovereign Lord, Yahweh, right? When I will, and this is in the NLT, when I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread or water, but of hearing the words of the Lord, the words of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai, right? These videos we do, right, which bring much edification. These videos are, filled with the Holy Spirit, right? The spirit of comfort. When you hear brothers, videos, when you see certain lessons, they give you a boost. They give you, that spiritual, just go ahead to continue, right? They feed you their food, right? And, slowly this is coming, right? Just like a famine, famines they don't usually happen overnight, even though the Lord can make them happen overnight, but it's a process. It's usually a drying up of crops, right? There's usually a beginning and an end of that said famine. And so the Lord is showing us the beginning stages of the famine of the word, all right, through the things that are taking place. A man is an offender for a word, right? It says people will stagger from sea to sea and wander from border to border, searching for the word of Yahweh, but they will not find it, right? And people are going to be searching, right? They're going to be searching for some similitude of truth, and it's not going to be found. It's not going to be, found anywhere in the streets, right? Really, because the kingdom of heaven is with men, right? And the Lord is going to hide his men, right? He said he will cause our tongues to cleave to the roof of our mouths. Let's see that. See if I can get it. Bear with me. Not a speller. So, and I believe it's in Ezekiel, right? Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 24. It says, then the Spirit entered into me and set me upon my feet and spake with me and said unto me, go thyself with thy house, but thou, O son of man, behold, they shall put bands upon thee and shall bind thee with them, and thou shalt not go out among them, right? And this is what's going to take place. Okay, unto the elect. It took place during the time of Ezekiel, right, to the prophets, right? They were basically persecuting the prophets, right? They were blaming them, right? And we're going to be blamed. Okay, ultimately, Jake is being blamed right now. An inquisition is being made to blame you so-called Negroes. This is what they see as the left, right? This is what's taking place. All right, they see you Negroes, and they see the left, right? You have been made the face of the left, right? You have been made the face of woke culture, right? Which originally was, a word that was used to describe Jake, right? But this one is, it's different. It's different. It says, but thou, O son of man, behold, they shall put bands upon thee and shall bind thee with them. Slakia, right? It says, and thou shalt not go out among them, and I will make thy tongue cleave to the roof of thy mouth, that thou shalt be dumb. And when you go into that word dumb, it just means mute, meaning not talking, not speaking. Okay, it says, and thou shalt not be to them a reprover. Did we not just read that? Reprover in the gates, right? It says, for they are a rebellious house. So the Lord is going to make our tongues to cleave to our mouths, meaning people are going to be asking questions. They're going to be, especially family members, certain people are going to be asking questions, and you're not going to be able to say anything. Why? Because this is going to be an offense. All right, we're going to have to be moving with high level of wisdom. Okay, and we're in those times, man. Verse 27, it says, but when I speak with thee, I will open thy mouth, and thou shalt say unto them, thus saith Yahweh power, he that heareth, let him hear, he that forbeareth, let him forbear, for they are a rebellious house. So the Lord is going to give us the go-ahead on who is going to get the truth and who is not, who to speak to, who not to speak to, right? And, for those that are given that green light, man, probably the 12th hour Israelites, the 11th hour Israelites, right? They're going to be sealed. The Lord said his sheep hear his voice, right? And some are going to be sealed through the hearing, right? Just through the hearing of the word, right? And then others are going to be, condemned. They're going to be left to their own devices, man. The Lord is giving people up to their devices in these times, man. AI technology, these different falsehoods, everything is, you got to question it. You got to question the food. You got to question the media, the news, question everything, right? Believe none of what you see and half of what you hear. And even less of that, these days about what you hear, right? Because there's a lot of rumors, right? And that's why the scriptures said that there shall be rumors of wars, right? But the end is not yet. So we're coming into the time where you have to be very, very circumspect, man. Let's get that. What he said, that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, right? Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 15, it says, see that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, right? And we're supposed to be buying back these times through serving the Lord, right? Through calling on the name of the Lord, man, praying and asking and begging for deliverance and salvation, man. Okay. Because this is what we need, man. The days are evil. We're asking that the Lord hasten his coming, that he shorten these days. And the Lord is doing it, man. You barely have time to do anything in this society. I'm over here yawning, but hey, you got to get this working. So it says, let's get that word circumspectly, right? Right. Yeah, circumspect. It says cautious, wary, literally looking about on all sides, deliberate, guarded. You got to be guarded, well considered, right? And this is something you got to ask the Lord for. Ask the Lord to make you circumspect, man, to make you question things, look around, and be aware, be deliberate in everything that we do, right? Because we are those watchmen, man. We are, Lord willing, a part of the 144,000. Lord willing, man. and that's what the elect would be doing in these times, right? Seeing the things that are taking place, seeing the devices, seeing the times are evil, and they would be looking around like, all right, let me move differently, all right, let me be deliberate, right, let me be cautious of the things that I do and say, and I'm speaking, speaking to myself as well, man. All right, so we know the famine is on the way. We know that Yahweh Shemiah Shai is about to, close this thing up for the main event, right? Getting past, getting close to the main event, getting past the prelims, and moving on to the main fight, right? And in order to get there, man, we just gotta, watch and pray. So Lord willing, this was edifying, exhorting. I want to end off by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule and teach well. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there preaching this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Give me diligence, make your calling and election sure. Shalom.